Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the I Can't Shut Up Unless You Tell Me To podcast. I know it's been a handful of days since I last put one out, but we're here at the tail end of stream, and I just thought now would be a good time. Earlier in the stream today, we talked about the Activision Blizzard merger, and while many people have their own personal opinions as it pertains to, the continued consolidation of monopolies in this country, the thing is, I personally feel that I am not necessarily against the idea of the government coming in and, telling what gaming companies can and can't merge, especially since everything's so consolidated. I wish they would break some up, but at the end of the day, what matters in the gaming industry of 2023 is intellectual property. That is what matters above all else, and that is what is important. That being said, speaking of intellectual property, I want to talk about something I found out about Avowed. So I am acutely aware that we have had multiple hour-long live streams in the last week of there being new games being released. We had more details from Starfield, and I'm going to be frank. My Sunday, starting when I wake up in the morning of this week, is going to be essentially just that. I'm going to spend the entirety of my Sunday morning watching, recording, and uploading all of the videos that I did not have the time, all of the live streams and clips from that I did not have the time to get this week and the week before because I've been working. It was sprint planning at the job. I put out an episode there so you guys, while I was in the middle of it, so you guys knew how freaking exhausted and tired and just done with everything I was. But the one thing I am very excited about, even though I haven't seen too much from it, is Avowed. I heard people hyping this up, and I didn't understand why it just looked like, generic fantasy bullshit, until I heard it's an Obsidian property. And for those who know Obsidian Entertainment, know that they are some of the best storytellers in gaming. Maybe not, in the sense of how they offer choice to the player. CD Projekt Red is another one of the example of those with The Witcher, but there's something about Obsidian that makes games like their titular Fallout New Vegas, which they made, so replayable. They've crammed so much choice and story options into your game that your world turns into a reflection of who you are as a person. The only game that does this type of thing better is Disco Elysium, and by God, I work a full-time job. I do not have the time to dedicate to that game, sadly, as much as I'd like to. I think Obsidian making, their version of Skyrim is kind of up my alley. Granted, it's not going to be an Elder Scrolls game, because God, could you imagine if they made an Elder Scrolls game headed by Obsidian Entertainment? I feel like all of the old boomers who say they're not real, but they're not real RPGs would absolutely cream their pants. And I would too, because it'd be amazing. Don't get me wrong, I love Skyrim, but I put damn near 3,000 hours into that game, and I can say with confidence that it is not a good RPG. It's a good game. It's not a good RPG. But bringing it back to Bloodborne, which I did stream today, I was successful at getting through the rest of the fishing village. It was god awful. I hated that freaking invader, and while I still haven't gotten his chest piece, I can live with that. Even so, I find Lawrence to be a little more of a pain in the butt than the Orphen of Kos, as I've engaged with both during the stream, and I got to fight the Orphen of Kos once, especially once I figured out that I don't know if he's unparryable in his second phase, but he's certainly parryable in his first, and I'm starting to glean the things that I need to do to sort of read that properly and benefit from it bigly. Now, that being said, I do think I am a little wistful that my journey with Bloodborne is going to be coming to an end soon. I've beaten basically every boss. The only 3 bosses I have left is Gehrman, Lawrence, and the Orphen of Kos. And that's all. And I think Anthony said that the Bloodborne final boss is going to be a gauntlet, which that should be interesting. Even so, I am curious about how that's going to end up running. Am I going to do a New Game Plus? Probably. Am I going to get further in New Game Plus with Bloodborne than I did with Dark Souls 3? Absolutely. Because there were plenty of quit moments for me personally in Dark Souls 3 that Bloodborne did not have. And I will give a much more comprehensive, review of Bloodborne once I am done. I still need to give a comprehensive review. I don't think I ever gave a comprehensive review of Dark Souls 3. That might be something I end up making over the weekend because I never really got a chance to sort of completely coalesce my thoughts. But do I want to make it a total review as a video, or would I rather make it be a podcast? I think I'd rather it be a podcast, if I'm being honest. Dark Souls 3. As I professionally type it in. Yeah, no, I didn't make any videos for it, but I probably made a podcast for it. We'll see. Well, if I made a podcast for it, I would have put it up here. That's neither here nor there. I'm babbling at this point. My apologies. I will say that I wanted to share that we have some new stuffies for those listening in an audio. You're not going to be able to see them, but that's okay. I am very, very excited to introduce that we have a new Trap Engine Belgium stuffies joining me in the wings while I am on camera. That is very, very fun. In other news, I finally, and which is the titular title of both what this podcast will be, and the fact that, and the live stream that it was led on, was I finally got my my credit card debt under control. I got a loan from One Main Financial for $7,000, and they helped, and I was able to fix my shit. This is the first time I have not felt stressed in a very, very long time, and I am very happy. And it is a feeling of elation that I personally have not felt in a very, very, very long time. It's a level of safety that makes me unbelievably happy. And Anthony, I know you will probably end up watching this. Yes, I know. I will stop being a whale in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and in ESO. Honestly, ESO probably takes more of my money than Master Duel, if I'm being honest. I play it enough to earn enough gems where I don't have to, spend a whole bunch. But, regardless. The other thing I kind of want to talk about is that an update from a previous episode. So Reddit I had put it out when it was breaking that Reddit is essentially, killing their business, or killing any business associated with it that isn't them directly, and by basically pulling a Twitter and pricing out developers from their API. So for those who are unaware, Twitter basically charges, for 500 million API calls, they charge, for basically a million API calls, they charge 500,000. And for a comparable site like Imager, which would, have the same amount of calls, that price would be about $100. So there's a gigantic price disparity, unfortunately, and as a result, it sucks. Unfortunately, while this doesn't affect the consumers per se, it does affect the way consumers can partake. When I say API, I mean application programming interface. It's basically the way websites and computer programs are able to talk to each other in secure and safe ways. But it's really unfortunate, and I'm hoping that this isn't turning into a trend, because basically all of the biggest subreddits decided to go dark and private for 48 hours. And my biggest problem with this was kind of stated by Mudahar, Some Ordinary Gamers. What should have happened is that these should have gone dark. These subreddits should have gone dark and private until Reddit reversed their decision. That's what should have happened, but they gave it a beginning, a middle, and end that allows Reddit to just weather the storm, which results in like they don't have to actually do anything, which is really sad. Let me just hit Cerebi real quick and see if there's any new Pokemon news that is worth talking about. Oh wow, they have a special distribution. So they're giving a shiny. They're basically giving a shiny version of one of the American International Champions Pokemon as a distribution, which is really, really cool. Pokemon Go Community Day will have a classic community day on the 9th of July, which will focus on Squirtle. The event will have a 25% less egg distance, as well as 3 hours in Sense and Lure modules. Squirtle and Sunglasses will return as field research, and the community runs from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. in each individual's local zone. Now, lastly, I do want to talk about something vaguely political. So this is your warning. We're going to talk about Donald Trump's indictment for a little bit. So this is where you sign off if you don't want to hear none of that. But if you're okay with it, please feel free to continue. We're going to be reading a little bit of an article from CNBC. Trump arrives in Miami for an arraignment on first ever federal charges against an ex-president. Former President Donald Trump touched down in Miami a day before he is expected to make his first appearance in court on federal charges that he willfully retained scores of documents that contain some of the nation's most sensitive military secrets. But without a local lawyer to present him in court, Tuesday's appearance could be cut short. As of 5 p.m. Eastern on Monday, Trump and his co-defendants and personal valet, Walt Nuta, did not yet have an attorney named for who was allowed to appear before judges in the Southern District of Florida, according to the court docket for his case. And I want to real quick address folks who feel like this is politically motivated. What was politically motivated was the amount of opportunities he had to return the documents. And to others who will say that it is a fault, like will do the false equivalency between Trump and Pence or Trump and Biden, was that Trump was asked more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, more than 4 times for the documents he had. He was knowingly storing them in unsafe places and was knowingly showing them to people who were not allowed to see them. In both the Pence and the Biden case, they found documents that they should not have had and immediately turned them over to the archives and then let federal agents come in and sweep all their shit to make sure that they didn't miss anything else. This is one of the handful of crimes where more transparency and more honesty shows you are not at fault. And almost everything else, lock it up, Fifth Amendment right, everything, cops are not your friends. Because here's the thing, if you have these documents as a former politician and you are willfully withholding them, that shows intent. Because at the end of the day, when in a court of law, laws that are enforced are all about intent. And if you don't have the intent to do wrong, even if you committed like for crimes like this, where it's all about intent, like showing that you're cooperating and not wanting to do this matters. And Trump really failed in that. He had every single opportunity to give these back, and he didn't because he wanted to flex. He wanted to flex. Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks, or as I'm calling them nowadays, the Young Tankies, there's a gas leak in their studio, I swear, said earlier on, which I'll give him credit for, that he's going to want to flex on. He's kept these documents to flex on people, and that, as we read, as if you go Google the indictment affidavit, you'll see through the transcripts that was exactly what he was doing. Regardless, Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening. Thank you so very much for watching. To the stream folks who are watching still, bless everybody on Kick's heart for still watching. I appreciate you. Nobody on my YouTube or Twitch is still here, sadly. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of I Can't Shut Up for Until I Tell You To. Thank you to the folks who were watching that tail end of the stream. I appreciate all of you. Please hit me up on the Discord if you aren't already a community member, and I'd love to see you guys. Today's question of the day was pretty funny. I think you'd like it. Have a good one.